1 Mermail, 1 White Forest, 1 Fire King, 2 Malice, and 3 Pure Rizel. These are all the decks that made top 8 at YCS Birmingham 2025. And I gotta say, that YCS was freaking insane because Fire Kings actually won the event. So with that being said, in this video, I'm gonna give you guys my thoughts and opinions about YCS Birmingham, what happened, and why Fire Kings won the event. So, if you guys don't know what Fire Kings is pretty much a fire deck that was running rampant around 2024. It's one of the best decks of the format pre-Snake Eyes stuff getting released. The reason why Fire Kings was so powerful because it was 3 structure decks. Shout out to Konami for making structure that's broken, by the way. We highly appreciate it as a budget player myself. And that deck was just running rampant. Yes, you did need more cards to add to it to make it better. However, it was the perfect deck for budget players to get into the game of Yu-Gi-Oh! Fast forward to Snake Eyes deck getting released, Fire Kings got evolved into Snake Eyes Fire Kings until eventually Snake Eyes just became his own deck like it was in the LCG. Fast forward to 2025, Fire Kings kind of fell out of obscurity with getting some support in the set that came out before Supreme Darkness with the new Fire King Girl. And players was trying to play the deck over here in the TCG, but it just really wasn't that good. However, over in Europe, it literally just won the YCS. So a lot of players have this question, why did this event win the YCS? Some players said the YCS was free. Free meaning that people over in Europe aren't that good of Yu-Gi-Oh players like the TCG players are. Some players just think Dinkaboo got lucky. That's the name of the guy who won the event with Fire King. Some players just believe that it was skill. And some players just believe that every dog has their day, skill or not. Sometimes people just win events. Things happen. In my opinion, I'm going to tell you guys why I think the deck won. Before we get to the video itself, smash that like button, hit the subscribe button for more. Also, be sure to save some money by getting your fire cards in the description down below and my store that sponsor me, Trading Card Mint, to save yourself 7% off. So, Fire King. I think, honestly, Fire King was a solidly good meta call. If you guys look at the metagame right now, what are the main decks? Rizel and Malice. What are those decks? Very linear but powerful decks. Rizel typically ends on Detonator and Abyss Dweller pass. At least over in the TCG, I don't know how European players are running the deck, but in the TCG, majority of pure Rizel enthusiasts like myself, we're going to end on Detonator pass 99.9% of the time. And I'm assuming it's the same thing in Europe because Europe has some really good players like Joshua Smith over there. However, with that being said, deck like Fire King, if people don't know how to play against it, they're gonna lose. Because Fire King can play on the opponent's turn via Karen, which destroys another fire monster in herself to bring herself out. And then when she's destroyed herself, she special summons herself and pop a card on the board, which is very powerful. However, if your opponent goes Blind Dweller, it can out that. But the biggest thing about the Fire King deck is the boss monster Garunix, which when a card is destroyed, I think it's a fire card is destroyed, he special summons himself in the hand or graveyard, and then when he hits the field, he destroys another card in the deck. Dinkaboo, the guy who won the event, also was running one of my favorite cards that I used to run in my build, the OG Garunix deck. When the OG Garunix says, when he's destroyed during the next standby phase, special summons himself and destroy all monsters. So if you got both Garunix in rotation, you're going to destroy flow, and eventually grind the opponent down. That's how I personally was winning a lot locally, if you guys remember those vlogs, prior to the Snake Eyes stuff getting released, which led me to switching to my Yugioh deck. But in a slower format where you don't really have to worry about Snake Eyes Fire Kings, you don't have to really worry about Yugioh, and people kind of forgot how to play against this deck, it's no surprise to me why the deck ran really good. This guy who ran the deck is obviously a pro player from Europe. I don't know if he's from Europe specifically, but he also, when he won a few events over there, just from doing my research, apparently he won with Prank Kids when Prank Kids was one of the hot decks. He also ran with a few other road decks whose name I can't think of right now. So that just goes to show you guys, when you have a skilled pilot behind a solidly good road deck, you guys can do well. Now, with that being said as well, by that being a meta call, the reason why it's been a meta call is because Rizel is one of the best decks, and Rizel Mitsuruga being one of the best decks, Rizel's best thing is destruction. Fire Kings, when stuff get destroyed, they spam out their Garunixes. When Garunix is gonna outgrind you because they're gonna just destroy all your stuff. And apparently, according to a lot of the posts I've seen online, he was maxing out on the Fire King quick play spell that destroys Fire Kings, causing your board, destroy causing your opponent's board. I'm not surprised why he did good. Now, the deck's worst matchup should have been Malice. However, looking at his record, majority of the games he faced was Malice. Malice loses to a Silver Bullet, which Artifact Lancia, but I wouldn't be surprised as well if Malice players that played against him didn't take the deck serious. Let's be real, bro. A lot of the times, at least as a Fire King player, if you're able to get rid of the field spell and to get rid of their back row spell that lets them XYZ summon on your turn, you're going to be in a good position, because that way you don't have to worry about getting wombo comboed on your own turn unless they have Karen. But even then, Fire King is linear, but it makes the game a simplified game state. So with that being said, if people leave those back row spells and they leave the field spell on the field, they're going to have a hard time. And I think, honestly, real talk, just going to this event, just looking at the event myself and knowing how people aren't taking the deck that serious or taking this event that serious because they calling it free, I personally think that people just got caught with their pants down. This just goes to show you to don't take people's opinions seriously on the internet about what the metagame should be, and just play what you guys like. Because sometimes, like I told you guys, when I used to win with heroes at locals and even do good at regionals, and even at good at like local like little tournaments and things like that, like OTS championships, people didn't take the deck serious until they lost to it. Then they're like, okay, this deck's so much real, because they didn't know what a hand trap. And I guarantee you the reason why Dinkaboo did good is because not only does the deck have a solidly good rival matchup, the people don't know what to do against that deck. They might forget, run into Garunas, crap, he's destroyed by battle, bring him back from the graveyard, start the combos over again. So I think overall, players just forgot how to play against the deck. They didn't know what to do in certain scenarios, and they got caught slipping with their pants down. I personally don't think the deck would have did as good in the TCG, and that's no hate against the guy who won. I'm just being honest. I think a lot of TCG players play a lot of rogue decks just as much as the European players do. It's just over there in Europe, people probably didn't take the deck as seriously. I don't know. Fight me in the comments down below. Moving forward into the metagame, I personally don't, and I might be wrong on this, I don't think Fire Kings will be doing good in the metagame moving forward, and here's why. We got Blue Eyes structure that coming out. Blue Eyes is ultimately a very powerful deck in the OCG. Blue Eyes can do a lot of things. They have Effect Veilers, which Fire King does lose against, because if you Effect Veiler the Ponix, you're in a good position. Hit Little Chicken, Effect Veiler Big Chicken, they're pretty much going to have to pass unless they just have an absurd hand in. At that point, you're losing that game regardless. And then on top of that as well, people really ain't citing back row hate like Cosmic Cyclones and Evenly Match, which I definitely can see people citing more back row hate moving forward to stop things like, I ain't gonna lie, Malice game 2 and 3, Blue Eyes game 2 and 3, Rival game 2 or 3, because everyone's on Solemn Strike over Solemn Judgment, which I think is dumb and incorrect, because yeah, Strike is good and it can win you games. Once people start siding that back row hate again, like the Lightning Storms and the Feather Dusters, people are going to lose to that Judgment, because they're going to just Judgment, use my other back row, it's going to be GG and real well played. And ultimately, at the end of the day, I'm going to say, just to wrap this video up, I think the video's getting a little long, Fire King, YCS Birmingham was a solidly good meta call. I think if Fire King was played in the TCG, like if Dinkaboo played in the TCG and it came to a YCS, he would have made a top cut for sure. If he would have won, that's up in the air. I'm going to leave that for you guys to decide. I ultimately think at the end of the day, like I said, good meta call. People forgot how to play against it. And the deck's really solid for what it does. It's a simplified game state deck. A lot of people sleep on OG Garuna because OG Garunas come back, dark hole the board. You can't detonator pop it. What are you going to detonator pop it? He going to bring himself back the following turn. The way you got to beat that deck, at least in my experience, because I did play against the deck a few times on Dueling Book way before YCS Birmingham. I know the argument's going to be, well, you didn't play against Dinkaboo. Don't have to. I played against Fire King. You don't obviously detonator pop the monsters. You detonator pop the back row that they have. Detonator pop the field spell. Detonator still can attack over their monsters, and you run things like Abyss Dweller just to slow them out. And obviously, TCG players, I think a lot of us go Blind Dweller. Some people say things is incorrect. They go Dugaris, Detonator Pass. They're still doing Baguska Detonator Pass, which is very powerful. But however, with that being said, right now, TCG, even in the OCG, I'm pretty sure Abyss Dweller Pass was the play to make. So, like I said, in short, the truth about Fire Kings and YCS Birmingham, I think it's just like how a lot of metagames are. Every once in a while, there's just going to be a solidly good rogue deck played by a solidly good player that just catches people off guard because people were not expecting it. Now that the deck is on everyone's radar and people are going to play the deck at a local level, you might see some local wins. You may even see some regional top 8s. But once people start getting used to the matchup, because a lot of people forget how to play against it. When I say forget, I don't just necessarily mean side decking. I mean literally what to do in certain scenarios, where to hand trap it at, when's the best time to hand trap. And honestly, a lot of the hand trap options may or may not just be good against that matchup, because a lot of the times too, if they run into a lot of players main deck ambitious, which a lot of people do nowadays, that's not doing anything against Fire Kings. They're just gonna look at you like, okay, attack with big chicken, attack with big chicken, attack with big chicken. So nevertheless, man, I think, like I said, moving forward in the metagame, the deck's gonna be here and there locally, but I think it'll fade into obscurity, and Dinkaboo will probably just play a different road deck at the next event he goes to, probably Blue Eyes or something, and top again. So let me know what you guys think. Am I wrong? Was this YCS free? I'm not finna sit up here and say the YCS was free personally, because I know Europe has a lot of solidly good players. A lot of players I respect, like Joshua Smith, who thinks like how I think, which is why I'm like, okay, if he thinks like I'm thinking and I know I'm a good player, I know for a fact Europe's not a bad place to play it. It's just that they're not afraid to innovate certain decks. And as far as the rest of the YCS, like Mermail topping, that's not a surprise. It won't be for long before somebody figure out the Mermail spice over in the TCG. The pure Ryzo decks beating out the Mitsurugi builds in the top 8 versus like the Fiendsmith build and Mitsurugi builds. Not surprised at all, bro. Pure Ryzo, people sleep on it so much because everyone's deriding the Fiendsmith build because it is the outgrindier build. However, if you play the thing about the pure build versus Fiendsmith or Mitsurugi, if you play your cards 100% right, you're gonna beat them. Now, some games you just automatically lose. That's just Yu-Gi-Oh! But in the hands of the right player, dog, you're gonna beat those builds. You just can't misplay. And that's something I'm still working on myself. And like I said, the rest of the decks, like Malice and freaking White Forest. White Forest wasn't a shocker. That deck's good. And Crystron making top cut, not a surprise as well, because Crystron's just a really good deck. Because decks like Crystron made top 64 and top 32. Even Branded Despot made top 32. So a lot of innovation come out of Europe, and I love to see it. I just don't think moving forward, Fire Kings is gonna win another event. Will it top? Yes, maybe. But will it win? I don't think so. But yeah, man, this is your boy Rogue Hero. Gave you guys my YCS Birmingham recap, and I'm signing out. Peace. See you guys in the next video.